Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. I'm Jeff Hill, Vice President of Affiliate Services for Sotheby's International Realty, and I'm pleased to welcome you to today's webinar, which is Propel Agent Productivity with Recruiting Personas. I have the privilege of introducing our speakers today, Jack Miller and Dean Cottrill of T360. As president, Jack is responsible for the overall management and financial health of T360. He previously served as T360's Chief Technology Officer and lead of T3 Fellows, a division of T360. He has 2 decades of real estate industry experience with management roles in franchising, franchise ownership, and brokerage. Prior to joining the real estate industry, Jack worked in multiple technology startup companies, including as a partner and investor. He's a consistent contributor to the Swanepoel Trends Report, as well as various white papers and abstracts on technology. Jack has a Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical and Computer Engineering from the University of Texas. So we're going to welcome Jack. And also joining us today is Dean Cottrill. As Senior Vice President, Dean leads T360's Brokerage Consulting division with an emphasis on helping brokers and their companies reach higher levels of success and profitability. He's the director for T3 Fellows, which is the company's MBA-style real estate leadership program, which we're going to discuss in great detail later on today in today's program. Dean has over 2 decades of hands-on leadership and has held several leadership management positions with large brokerages, including Cottrill Banker Residential Brokerage. As group president at Cottrill Banker, he oversaw 66 sales offices on the East Coast from Georgia to Delaware, which has over 4,000 agents and did more than $10 billion in sales volume. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting from the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. And gentlemen, welcome. We are very pleased to have you here. And at this point, I'm going to turn the program over to Jack.
Great, fantastic. First, thank you so much for the kind introduction there, Jeff. We really appreciate it. And welcome everyone to our webinar today. We're delighted to have you and spend some time with you today. Dean and I are going to take you through a fairly fast-paced talk. We're going to cover a few different topics, and I'll go over those in just a second. I will say, big picture, this talk is about understanding how to connect with agents and understand the challenges they have in their life, in their particular stage of their career, and working to help them get more productive. Also being able to have conversations with people you want to bring into your organization about how your organization can support them, how you can help them become more productive and really achieve their financial and business goals with your organization. So welcome everybody to today. Dean, any preliminary thoughts before we jump in?
Yeah, great. So happy to be here. Jeff, thank you. Jeffrey, thank you so much for the introduction. What I love about this, it's clarity. In life, I learned through the 30-some years I've been doing this, that if you have clarity, that adds to confidence, and then look out, success is going to be shortly thereafter. So the clarity piece here of going through recruiting personas, one thing we're going to talk about, really stands out where you can hone in what that value proposition is. Not to give too much away of what we're going to be talking about, but it's just moving up to a higher level of clarity of exactly who do you want to bring on, what are their wants and needs, strengths, and then what do you guys have to fulfill those wants and needs. So we're going to talk in depth about that here right now.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to jump right into the conversation. So a little bit of background on this before we go into the individual personas and really talk you guys through this. One of the challenges that, I was a broker, and we had, a company, and we recruited agents, and prior to that, I ran a set of franchises in another brand. And the conversation in recruiting, I found, and I personally in consulting have worked with about 200 broker owners, really doesn't go very deep. It consists of a conversation that is, here's some stuff we have, and then we say, well, what kind of agents do you recruit? Well, I recruit new and experienced agents, right? And so that's sort of where it is. And I think people show up to that recruitment conversation with a toolbox of things that they have, and then they'll present that, and then the hope is you get an affiliate out of that. And I think it's very common, and it's not bad. It's just not as powerful as it could be. And what we found in the recruiting that we did at our firm, and then Dean has also done an extensive amount of this, and his own experience recruiting and bringing agents into his companies, is that the deeper conversations are the ones that are most fruitful. And so the purpose of the talk today is really about how to have that deeper conversation with an agent that's already in your firm, and helping them understand their challenges, and then you providing solutions are a really great fit for them and that move them forward in productivity. And also the same conversation with a recruit, so that you can help them understand, I'm not showing up with a bunch of stuff and I'm going to show it to you and hope something strikes your fancy. It's like, I've thought about your situation and where you are in your career and what your needs are right now. And so that's the richness, that's the depth of that conversation. And we're going to take you through a few examples of some of the, we have a set of default personas for agents that we've created as a way of talking about this. And then when we work with participants in our program, they develop their own and develop better language or richer language to talk and work with their recruits. So with that, let's jump on in. So we're going to talk today through 4 example recruits and recruiting personas. And Dean and I are going to give you some language and a little bit of thinking about each one of them. And then that's going to be the first part. And then the second part, we're going to talk about some of the things you can do in terms of recruiting practice to make use of this to get more consistent in talking to agents that fit the different personas that you're going after. We've got some different activities that are targeted at different kinds of agents for you to bring in and have those conversations with. So we'll get into that as far as a recruitment productivity perspective. So there's going to be on agent productivity and also on your personal recruitment productivity in your organization. All right, so let me walk you through this example persona, and then Dean and I are just going to talk about it and how to approach these different personas. So the first one we have up is new Nicole. This is a person who is new to industry and really real estate being maybe their first real job, their first real career, their first big opportunity, right? So they tend to be, they're younger. I noted here it's first career. They have some friends. They may be social. They may, they have a reason to be in a social industry like ours, and they may have had some prior sales or service experience. And they're motivated by making money. They want to get established. They want to get. They've maybe been in other sales industry and have seen that real estate is an opportunity for them to move up or to do something that is more financially productive for them or more lucrative or they're more interested in. So Dean, talk to us about some of the challenges with the new Nicole. What are the things that you're working with on a newer agent?
Well, new agents, they come in and like you said, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they don't know. So they're looking for a trusted partner. And that's the way I encourage you to position yourselves as a trusted advisor. We've all heard that term used, but as a trusted advisor, they come in, you have the strength and you have a very strong toolbox of tools. And one of the things too, I would really recommend everybody, don't position yourself in this recruiting space, whether it's new Nicole or the other ones that we're going to talk about, the other personas. Don't position yourself to sell people. Don't try to, when someone's coming on hard to sell you something, they're leveraged. They're in a better leveraged position to negotiate on commission and tools and everything else, right? So really it's more to inform. You just approach them like, you know what, we have something great to offer. Let's understand you, who you are. In the new Nicole space, for example, you're new to the business, you need training, you need support, you need the business systems, you need systems in general, things like that, you need exposure to the marketplace, all those things. And this is how we support agents in that space. And so you're informing, you're not selling, you're informing, you're positioning yourself to be that trusted advisor to help support them and help them get started. So that's the biggest one, as we see here, the biggest challenges and the most needs for a new agent is, I need fundamental business systems, education, skills. I need a mentor. I need someone, I call it on-the-job training. I need some communication. What do I say? How do I say it? How often do I say it to my clients? Am I reaching out? So all these things, these most needs, organization, tools and systems, leads, training, mentor, all those things are the things that new agents typically want. Now, when you guys go through this exercise, we encourage you, or if you work with us through the Fellows Program, your new agents in your market might have some uniquenesses compared to somebody else in another part of the country. So there's some potential uniquenesses that you're going to build into your new Nicoles compared to somebody else, but there'll be a lot of common traits as well that we're going to find, and they're going to be agencies as well.
This is a persona that a lot of people are familiar with, because we've all talked to people that are new to industry and maybe new in their career, right, or early career. I will tell you some of our brokers that have worked with us have found some really interesting synergies. Like we found some great recruiting out of like Warby Parker or high-end type of retail establishments where they've gone through and maybe they had some really great customer service training or some really great sales training through some of these retail type of roles. And they're motivated by money and they've had some good training. They don't know real estate yet, but they know how to take care of a customer, right? And that's where a lot of times you see people do that. Sometimes you see people come out of restaurant industry where it's like they're really great at customer service. And I know, Dean, I've seen you do this, and I know I've done it myself, where somebody who's done a really great job in a service industry and they've said, you know what, with that attitude, you could do really amazing things in real estate. And then they do need everything. They need everything. You're going to have to, at this stage of the career, you're going to have to remind them to put cold water in the car for their clients when they go out on a tour, and to put gas in the tank, right? They're going to forget to do stuff because they're early in their career, early in their life. So let's move on to second career Sam. So this is a second career person who has had a career before. They established themselves in some of their industry, and maybe they see real estate as a way to move up. Maybe they see it as a way to have more flexible hours and time. We actually have a few different versions of this persona because it's so common. This is just one of them. The second career person, we found a lot of times they do have some business experience and skill. So you'll see on their little resource map over there, you can see they may have some client skills, they may have some sales skills, depending where they came from. It's just a way to think about where they're coming from. And they may have some friends, they may have a network, they may have people that they've actually transacted with in their previous career, right? What they don't have is they don't have the identity of being in real estate. And I mean, how many times have we brought somebody to this industry and they've just churned and burned for a year and done very little, and then like a year later, their friends figure out, oh wait, you're in real estate now. Oh, I can talk to you about real estate stuff. And then they have a much better second year, or maybe much better third year, depending on how long the process takes. So this person their needs are different. They don't need necessarily all the one-on-one of everything because they've done that in another career path. But what they do need is they need help establishing credibility as quickly as possible with their network, that they're real estate professionals. Also, second career people, they're probably already carrying a mortgage. Maybe they're paying for their kids' school. They're doing other stuff. So they need to get to that quicker. Like the younger person who is, living in an apartment with a friend or just getting started, they're in a different financial situation. This person needs to get productive pretty quickly. So establishing them in real estate is really important. And so you want to talk to them about that experience. And if you have people you're recruiting, it's just like, hey, we know that this may not be a challenge you think you have, but this will be your challenge. You've got lots of friends, but they don't think of you when they think of real estate. And we need to turn you into a real estate person in their minds as soon as possible. Dean, any comments on that second career person?
Yeah, that's just one of those things. A lot of them you have to watch for all the different personas, but in agents in general. But this is like the definite secret agent, someone who's gets a license, moved out of their prior careers, and you got to watch, because some of these guys, until they get some of these people, these agents until they're confident about what they're doing, they don't want to tell anybody they know. They'd rather work with strangers than talk to people they know, because they're just getting up to speed. So you have to work on that, illuminate that, and tell them, and help them get into their sphere of influence. As we know, it's the number one way to generate business, but that ties into really pushing them out of their comfort zones, helping them. So that ties into helping support them become successful in writing agreements, practicing on agreements, open up lock boxes, looking at the market, previewing areas, becoming a local market expert into the market areas. All those things are going to help add some confidence. So then they have no hesitation, or very little hesitation, in reaching out to their sphere, their friends, family, their past, real estate, other professionals that they've dealt with, and let them know who they are and what they're doing.
And I'll tell you a little bit about some synergistic roles that we've seen in organizations that have come out of this. We've seen there's a company we worked with where they found that there were a lot of second career moms where they were coming back into the workforce. They had a professional role before. They had been, a CPA or maybe an attorney, or they had a fairly highly compensated role in the past. But now they were raising kids. They had maybe been away from the work world for 5 or 6 or 7 years. as is so common with that experience. But they wanted to do something professional and something that paid fairly well, that also had a lot of flexibility. And so real estate was a great option for them. So we've seen a lot of organizations look at that kind of second career, like that's a second career person. And for many of them, it's also just as important. The money might be important to them, but the identity may be the most important thing of saying, look, I have a professional identity as a realtor with Sotheby's. And that could be a big deal for them. So don't miss out on that with some of the second career people. For them, it's a career upgrade, or it's a way to have themselves established professionally, have a professional identity. And that applies, of course, both to men and women. But I'm saying that one of the companies we work with found a real vein in a lot of second career professional moms who were coming back and wanted to do something professional. So,
another one too, Jack, is the one that we've all heard about is teachers and nurses.
Absolutely.
So people always say that kind of like that mindset where the teachers and nurses make really fantastic real estate agents for this reason or that reason, because their background, their training, working on their feet, things like that. And that becomes a persona, right? So that's a second career, moving them. And that's just another side bit. A lot of teachers now are just exhausted with this whole thing about virtual training and teaching. So and here comes summer. So they're really going to be off. So there's really opportunity there to get some teachers or start marketing to teachers to try to get in front of them at this point, get them licensed and get them up to speed.
Yeah, and those with strong social ties and social connections, as we know, those are ones like if they understand what they have to do is transform themselves into a real estate person for everybody they know, then you can really help them get productive a lot more quickly. And don't let them languish. These are the ones where if they're languishing, you've got to give them ammunition and firepower to get out in their network, talking about real estate, letting their people know about real estate, bringing them awesome market reports, talking about what's happening in the market. There are going to be lots of backyard conversation over the summer as we come out of this pandemic to be really effective at generating business out of the network and changing their identity with everybody that knows them already. All right, so let's go to our third. This is Active Amy. And again, this is an example. We've got a lot of others of these. These are just ones that were in the file for today. So Active Amy is a career agent. They have some fundamentals in place. They've been doing this for a while. They're probably in year 6, maybe year 5, year 7, somewhere around there. A lot of times you'll find this is maybe part of a dual income household. They're both, you got two people both making money. Their motivations are a little different though, oftentimes, especially for dual income, where you may find that the income is they want a certain lifestyle. So the real estate business for them is really about the extra vacation, buying a car once every couple of years, maybe saving a little bit more towards kids' college, right? And they've got great fundamentals in place. They know how to do real estate, but what they don't have is they haven't really been looking at it as a business that could really be highly lucrative for them and not just be a way to get some extras into their life or maybe a few things that they want, but a way to really change the entire financial trajectory of their family, right? So this is a person who they know what they're doing in the way that they've been doing it. And if you can tap into their motivation to change that financial trajectory, you can give them other ways of really growing their business. So I don't know, Dean, you want to talk a little bit about the Active Amy's of the world?
Yeah, this is all these personas really ties into the idea of having that personal connection with your agents, with the new ones that are joining, and you have a sense of what they're looking for. When you determine their why, I had an experience with the top agent who was a rookie in the beginning. And she was like, you know what, her why was to pay for her family vacation. She had 5 children. Her husband's income didn't pay for them to go on vacation. It paid all the bills, but didn't allow them to really go on a vacation. So then I drew the picture of, all right, where do you want to go? And everybody with 5 kids at the time wanted to go to Disney, right? Yeah. And so then you go down that path. Well, Disney, do you want to stay at the Holiday Inn on the expressway, or do you want to be at, the Grand Floridian right on the rail? And I don't know if you guys are Disney dorks like I am, but if you are, then you know what I'm talking about. So you're on the rail and you're on the club level, or you want to be on here, and then you could have some fun with this. And I learned this from Andy Bash that we're going to hear from later on this call. Is, do you want to walk on a plane? Do you want to turn left and go to first class? Or do you want to go to coach, make a right? What's the trip going to be like? And then that equates to this amount of money. And our average commission per transaction, you need to sell this amount of houses to get that trip. So then it becomes a much bigger visual. So the Active Amy's, it's more of a motivation. Like you said, it's like a lifestyle. they're happy. They're just paying for, I had all different active Amy's and personas, and it wasn't like a driving force to pay the bills and put food on the table. It was something else. And you just have to dive into what that something else is. Wouldn't you like, if it's jewelry, if it's trips, wouldn't you like to go here or do this or go first class, things along those lines. So you can add some energy to their goals by helping them see something a little bigger than maybe what they're looking at right now.
And we've seen, we've had some brokers that have done some really great stuff to help people, develop their ambition in this area. We had a broker that they added a whole kind of financial education component, and they would bring in, financial professionals to talk about retirement planning, estate planning, cost of college, all that kind of stuff. And that's where you can help them kind of turn on those lights and say, you know what, I'm doing okay, but I can do a lot better and create a much different outcome for myself. So a lot of that's tapping into that motivation, providing them some resources. So this is very different from the new Nicole we talked about, or the second for Sam. This is a person who they're up and running, but they've got a lot of potential. And so you need to foster that potential into something more. And so when you're talking to a person in your organization, you can, if you see that, then just be aware the direction you take them involves their motivation first, and getting their motivation to where they're saying, yeah, you know what, I want to get more business. And how do I do that? And how does Sotheby's help me do that? So there you go. Last one we'll talk about is Maturing Michelle. So this is the top performer who does it all, fantastic real estate professional, is making a ton of money, and is really, I think, when people say, well, who do you want to recruit? They talk about this kind of agent who's really very established and is doing very well, right? So, and I think this particular agent, this top performer, can be a little daunting for some of us to approach, right? Because you think, well, what have I got to offer this person? But what both Dean and I will tell you is, everybody has things that can be different and better about their business life, right? Everybody has what they struggle with every day. Everybody gets up every day and they have whatever struggle they have. And so even the top performers, a lot of them, they are doing it all. They are hustling. They're putting a ton. They're making a lot of money, but it's at sacrifice of their time and sometimes their patience, sometimes their ability to maintain family time and boundaries and do all those kinds of things. So this particular performer, where they need help, they don't need help with motivation. They've got that, right? They don't really need help with how to do the business or what to do or how to generate more business. They can hustle. They can go out and make more business happen. But what they most want is they want their life back. They want balance. They want certainty. They want to know that they're going to have help when they need help. And that's an area where, as brokers, as managers, as leaders, we're uncommonly well positioned to help them, because we have staff, we have resources, we have ways for them to be able to get some of their time back by offloading these $25 an hour jobs. I can't tell you how crazy it drives me. You talk to a top performer and you go through and like, what are all the things that they're doing? If you do a task study with them, and they're spending 25% of their time on $25 or $30 an hour work, and their dollar per hour is $300 per hour, $400 per hour. And you're like, this is nuts, right? This is nuts. So don't be afraid to approach this top performer from the perspective of, your business is great. I don't know that I can necessarily add a bunch to your top line. Maybe I can, but I don't know that. But where I see that maybe we could help you is getting your life back, getting some admin support, getting some system support, getting some things in there that maybe you haven't been able to put in place for yourself that would give you your nights and weekends back and give you more of your time back. So Dean, any comments on this top producer persona?
Yeah, most of the top producers don't get contacted because some of the reasons you mentioned. They're just top producers, and people feel like, you know what, a lot of actually management and leadership roles don't reach out to people who produce more than them because they feel like they can't help them. And you did a really good point of saying, Jack, that's not accurate. You can help everybody in some way. They're basically have some fallbacks. Something's not going perfect in everyone's business. So you just have to analyze their business and be able to support them. To the Maturing Michelles, they probably don't manage their time very well. They probably don't manage their people very well. Or if they don't have any people, they need people, and they probably don't have people because they can't hire people because they can't manage people. So there's ways that, talk in circles there, but there's a way you can actually help them by helping them and support them. One of the things I would do actively is help the top agents bring on other not top agents, bring in team members, I'd go through the interview process. I would oversee that process. I would lend them and help them in the process of putting somebody in positions to help support them in that. So I took an active partnership role with them in growing their business. I wanted them to feel like they can grow their team, their business / team potentially here, and they don't need to go anywhere else because they could be the biggest team on the planet right here. And I would support that growth every step of the way through many different facets. And that's something where these top agents, some of them are going to need, some could be very, very efficient, very organized, but most of them aren't. So that's something you could provide through efficiency, organization, systems, strategies, things along those lines. So just see what they're lacking and then help support that area.
And I will tell you, there's a market competitor who's done a really good job recruiting this kind of an agent, which is Compass. They've done a great job recruiting this kind of agent. And I will tell you, we've worked with a lot of people that have ended up going over to Compass at some point. We've had some small brokerages been acquired by them, and in staying in touch with them, there's the money, there's the stock, there's all that kind of stuff. But really, when we've talked to them later, they said what brought them over and kept them there has been that offer of help, where Compass has said, hey, we're going to supply some resources. We have some marketing people you can use. We can do, they're into that. They provide that, or at least they claim to provide it, and the people we've talked to were getting it. So I think this is that they tapped into a need, which, by the way, we've done a lot of work with lots of different kinds of brokerages. We've definitely seen brokerage models where it's like we offer a lot of support and help for the agents, and you get agents in there who are like, thank goodness I'm getting all this help and support because I have my life back and I can go do the things I want to do. So don't be afraid to go after these top producers and offer them the help and support they need to have the lives and careers that they want. So
and one thing, too, Jack, actually, that's a great point because, just a quick aside, and I know this is for all the Sotheby's owners out there. I ran the Mid-Atlantic company, and that's where Compass, when they left New York City, the first market they went to was Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And so we went toe to toe for a period of time with that and going through them, and they pulled some of our agents and I pulled some of theirs back over and things, so on and so forth. But that's something they are able to position themselves well, but that's something for you guys to see. There might be some holes in your offer proposition. This exercise will illuminate it. You'll actually see, and for example, what I saw in my offer proposition was I needed to reposition my in-office support staff to be more in-office support to the agents, not to the brokerage. So we literally changed them from office admins to branch service coordinators. And then the bank was open in the morning, they process checks, process deals. In the afternoon, and we trained them on the 6 leading tools and systems that we had in our organization. And they would then train the agents, work with the agents, and support them to be more successful in their business. So you'll find gaps as this goes, and then you can fulfill those gaps or make some changes to your business.
Yeah, that's great. We do an exercise with clients after this where they go through the different personas that are most important to them, and they match it up with the services and support that they offer, so that when you're talking to each, you go, you know what, I'm talking to a second career person. Here's, Chris, my points. I'm talking to a top producing agent. Here's my points. Here's the things that we have that will really help you. So, all right, so we're going to move to the second portion of today's talk, which is converting this into some action on recruitment productivity in terms of how you take these concepts and then apply them over to recruitment. So I'm going to kick this over to you, Dean, for a little bit of a conversation about personas and the prospecting activities and how to do that.
Yeah, and I'm going to pick up the speed too, because I want to leave some time at the end to do this. So really, the 5 top jobs I see for leadership is recruiting, retention, which is re-recruiting. So that's the 4 R's. And then L is listings, market share. Market share is that you want to make sure you position. It's one of those hedgehog concepts for those that are familiar with that book. So really focused on recruiting. I put back behind me the 6 key areas of running a brokerage where you have some control over. Like you don't have control over interest rates. You don't have control over job markets. You have very little control over a lot of things. There are some things that you do have control over that you can actually focus some energy and effort and streamline systems and tools in key areas that'll help you generate additional or higher profitability. Those 6 areas, number 1, which trumps everything else on the list, is agents. Period. I can stop right there. So that's why recruiting is so important, to have that funnel coming in. It creates that sense that you are in the right place. This is the place to be. And then the other recruiting in R is retention. And then the other L, and then L is listings. All right. And then we go into units, number of units, what's your per person productivity, coaching support of the agents, increasing that per person productivity. Again, I wouldn't die on this hill. Don't be an expert at this. Bring in agents. That's the fastest way to increase productivity, is bring in more productive agents. That's the fastest and easiest way. Average price, you guys are in a very good average price. Is there an average price you can go into a little higher? That's one you can increase. You make a percentage on it. Commission percentage, what the commission you're charging the average consumer out there, you want to keep an eye on it. Watch those trends. That's a benchmark. If you're trending down, you want to get in front of it. You might find some of your top agents are giving away money, meaning they're top agents and they're doing it for less than new agents. So you want to get in front of them. You want to coach them and support them and help them. Company dollar retained percentage, another very important number. That's where you keep an eye on that benchmark. As it goes down, you better get in front of it. And the way you get in front of it is you bring in newer agents, lower producing, lower commissioned agents, and get them up to speed and help them be successful. That's how you keep what I call a healthy office. And this will tell you whether you're healthy or unhealthy, depending on what that percentage is. And then your expenses. That's where you have a direct dollar for dollar. You cut a dollar in expenses, it should flow right down to your bottom line. But you do have to spend money in some key areas. We know that. But that's another thing you want to keep an eye on. Those are 6 areas.
That's great. Dean, do you want to talk through the plates, the different recruiting plates?
Yeah. So I love spinning plates. We talk about 5 spinning plates. Do we have it on the diagram?
Yeah, I've got it up on the screen. I got the first plate is up.
Okay. So the idea here, guys, is you have a recruiting funnel, and then you want to commit to 5 specific areas of focus. And the great thing about recruiting funnels, it's the same that you do for agents and real estate agents for their sales. They should have 5 areas of focus for them in their business: sphere of influence, primary market, so on and so forth. On the recruiting front, you want to have 5 areas that you're focused on in recruiting. The first 2 are focused specifically on new agents. So the first plate here on the very left is licensing classes. So if you have a partnership, you guys don't have a partnership, get one with CE Shop, have some access to an online licensing course, virtual, because that's where we are. Career nights, sign-in windows, flyers, ads, direct mail, Indeed. There's a free portion on Indeed you could use. You can do a paid version. You can go to third parties like Third Pool. You guys might already have resources in your toolbox that help you through Sotheby's to help in this area here. But you really want to cast a wide net. You don't want to be a spear fisher. You'll do spear fishing when we get over here to the experienced agents. This is the net. You want to cast a wide net, bring these newbies in, and then funnel them through. You don't want to spend a ton of time. You want to create efficiencies. We'll talk about that more in depth when we get into the class. Once you fill the classes, have a plan to get in front of them. If you run classes, I ran classes. I was able to put a class in my office in Maryland, which is huge. We ran them all through the Mid-Atlantic. If you guys have that ability, that's a business strategy to put in place. It's more of a long-term business strategy. It takes longer to pay out, but it will pay off big time for you. It really becomes a machine that feeds your business consistently and will keep that company dollar retained percentage in a good place.
You ready for the second plate?
Ready.
Second plate.
All right, prep classes. So we want to jump into prep classes. It's the second plate here. This is preparing people for the state exams. So you want to start thinking about marketing to people who are in the class, who are getting ready to finish up. They want to prepare for the state exam. And this used to be fish in a barrel right here. I used to have 40, 50 people in a room you'd walk into, you start talking to them. And the great news about prep classes is you're not restricted typically in jurisdictions on what you can say and how you can sell your organization. So that was a really good way. And I would encourage you guys to start with the second plate if you don't have the first plate up and running, because that takes some time. This first one is much easier to get started, much lower cost, lower effort, and a nice high return.
All right, you ready for the third plate?
Third place, your agents. Biggest question to ask your agents on a continued basis: if they couldn't list their own primary home for sale and they couldn't have anybody else in your guys' company list their own home for sale, who in the market would they want to list their own home for sale? That's the quality of agent you'd like to bring on your organization. Who is that person you want to reach out? And that's a really warm call, because when you're calling them, you're saying, you know what, I asked this question and your name came to me several times. Congratulations on really the incredible job that you do. And I wanted to have an opportunity to talk to you. And we'll get into objection handling here later. So N and E is new and experienced. New and experienced. So someone looking to hire an assistant, Great. I'll put them to the licensing class. I help support that. Again, you're a team partner with them. New and experienced team member, buyer's agents, friend, family member, experienced agent, did a transaction together. Was that experience? Great. Once a month minimum, ask for recommendations, as I just shared with you.
Yeah, and build this into we did this at our brokerage. We built it into the transaction process. I'm sure some of you do this. If you do, that's great. Continue to emphasize and promote it. But on each transaction, we had a form that said, would you recommend that we talk to this agent about career opportunities at Sotheby's? And what's something that they did great in the transaction that I could give them a compliment for, or a thank you card or something like that. And that turns it into a warm call. Oh, I talked to Dean. He said that you were just great in the transaction, managed a difficult seller. Wanted to say thank you for that. It's so great when partners can work on a transaction and get through it. And then you can transition into let's get a coffee. Let's discuss opportunities. Tell me about your market. What are you seeing? And move into that kind of thing. But make it part of your transaction process. Make it part of that. And like Dean has said, you want to ask for that regularly from your agents, because they're going to give you the best people, the people that they would like to see or could see in the office as being a fit.
Yep.
So, Dean, you ready for plate number 4?
Plate 4. One thing I'd say to you real quick on the agents' recommendations, remember, you guys ultimately make the decision. So if you have agents who, I don't want you to hire that, or don't bring that person in here, or this and that, one of the lines that you could use against that is BD. Well, that's before Dean. So that, something they might have done before, you had a bad experience, that's before they've worked with me. Give me the opportunity to work with them. If they step out of bounds, they're gone. You know that how I run this company and how I run this shop. But then give me the benefit of the doubt at this point. So you push back. Don't let them run the asylum here. You guys bring in the people you think are going to fit and work with them, help mold them, but ask them to give that. It's nothing wrong with asking for recommendations, but if they push back, don't just give in all the time, because frankly, some people don't want competition in your office or your company, and then you're going to find them telling you not to bring people in because they're good agents. All right, and then we have the 4th plate is new agents, less than a year. Sometimes they get lured over by the dollar signs. They think are going to be more money, and they're not. They make less per person. They sell lower price points compared to you guys. The per person productivity is lower. All those reasons, they would have been much more successful. They came to you, got trained and supported, got exposure to your guys' markets, into the market out there. And so this is where you look at somebody who's in the first year, they've gone somewhere else, and they look to make and pivot and make a change, come back to you. And that's great, because when you bring them over from some of the competitors that you guys have, then they'll come over and they'll talk about that training wasn't great. This is not great, things like that. And it just becomes a really positive thing in your market, in your office, in your company.
Yeah,
Okay.
and turn this into a system. Systematize this with these tracking people that have been in the business for less than a year, less than 2 years. That's where we found our company was really great at taking a person that was at $1 million in sales volume, $1.5 million in sales volume, and turning them into a $7 or $8 million productive person in a market that had a $250,000 average price point. So we got very skilled at that. So we looked for that talent, like, oh, they're moving, they're doing some things. And we had a way of helping them really grow with us. So that's very powerful. Let's talk about 5th plate.
Yeah, agents, it's going to be every other experienced agent out there. You want to do safe searches. You definitely, one of the things you need to make sure everyone does is you do everything that you do to recruit, you do it to retain your agents. So if you're reaching out consistently and congratulating people and trying to recruit them over, you reach out to your agents, of course, and you congratulate them and support them. So do everything you do to recruit, you retain. If you take people out to lunch and dinner behind the pandemic behind us, you do the same thing with your agents. So just kind of have that mindset. Don't treat people on the outside better than you treat the agents on the inside. So
yeah, that's great. And you've got a 6th plate, which is a bonus plate for your top agents. Talk to us. We already talked a little bit about them. Like, don't be afraid to approach them.
Yeah, the top agents I would talk to, 50, 60, $100+ million producers. Many people, they've never been contacted. They'll tell me, like, no one's ever reached out to me. And it's great conversations. They're freaking great negotiators. So you guys want to sharpen your saw, meet with these guys and have those conversations. And frankly, in today's world, talking about Compass and other organizations and NRT and other ones out there being aggressive in the market, a lot of people have gotten into acquisition and acquiring agents. They're coming in and writing them sign-on bonuses and things like that. And that's just an acquisition strategy. And so that's something as well that you could actually potentially bring out and do the same thing as these other guys, but you're not going to do it unless you have that connection with these agents.
Okay, so I got one question that came in, which I think is a great question. It says, at our brand, very few companies bring in new agents, in part because the producers don't want to be affiliated with new or inexperienced agents. What are your thoughts on that as far as recruitment or how to think about that?
Because the feeling is typically that new agents come in and they take resources, people's time and energy, and they don't produce.
Well, and we don't want inexperienced people inside of our shop. Like we don't want to have.
We all started somewhere. We all started at some point, right? So my own comeback is we're all new. Now, if you guys have a very fine, really refined training program, mentor program, things like that, and you had that built in, I always thought I put them on the treadmill. Like my office was running at an 8-minute mile. That's how I would visualize it, right? 8-minute mile is not really fast. It's not slow either, right? And so I put these new guys on. They went to the training. They went to the mentor. If they didn't show up to training, they didn't show up for the mentor, then they didn't stay. I moved them off. So the idea is you can explain to your top agents, here's the machine that we've got running. We're going to put people on it who are new. They're going to help you. Frankly, they can hold open houses for you. They can do things for you, frankly, as they get started. So you can find that as a resource for you and your business. But we're going to give them an opportunity, but we're not going to give them a long leash. They're going to have a short leash. They have to perform, produce, or they're gone.
Yeah, that's a commitment to performance standards, like you said, and saying we're gonna have performance standards. We're gonna have accountability, and if when you do have those things in place, it works, and you end up with the people that can keep up with that 8-minute pace, right? That's where you get to.
Yep,
that's great. So talk to us a little bit about, before we wrap up this section, move to the end part here. Talk to us a little bit about, these are some of the common objections. Why don't we handle those right now for this group?
Sure. So I love this one.
Dean, I'm happy, Dean. I'm not interested in the recruitment conversation. I don't want to come to your shop, or I don't like Sotheby's, whatever. I'm happy. I'm happy where
awesome. I am. And I'm always like very positive. Awesome, Jack. I'm so happy you're happy. Frankly, I heard you're a happy guy. That's part of it. I wouldn't be calling you if I heard you were miserable and such a negative Nelly. So I'm glad that you're happy. But listen, in life, wouldn't you agree that things sometimes change? And if things changed and you weren't so happy as you are now, wouldn't it be nice to have some options? I frankly don't want to be backed into a corner with no options. I'd always like to know what my options are. So if something ever changed where you are and you weren't as happy, I'd love to be one of those names of 3 to 4 on a list that you would consider working with, going to, if something would happen to change. Fair enough?
Fair enough. Dean, what commission percent would I be on if I came over?
Commission,
you talk to me, what is it?
Commission's incredibly important. I get it. I completely get it. But you know what? The value, we have to first start talking about compatibility, where we're going to be as business partners. We're going to even get along, because you know what? If you're not going to get along with your business partner, what's it make a difference on the commission structure and the commission plan? So let's make sure as business partners, we get along, that we feel like we work well together. And we're going to talk about your goals, what your commission structure is going to look like, what your compensation, all that. It's extremely important. I'm not kicking the can down the road because I don't want to talk about it. We're definitely going to talk about it. But really the first step in this process in getting into a business relationship with somebody is finding out whether you actually get along.
Yeah, that's great. My business will drop off if I make a move right now.
Nonsense.
I'm going to lose too much.
Bull, baloney. I'll push right back. I completely disagree with that. We're going to blow you up in big time. We're going to hit the marketplace. We're going to go to your sphere. We're going to let everybody know you've made the wise decision to come over to us, and we're going to broadcast. You're going to shake so many trees, more so than you're doing now. More people are going to come to the woodwork, and you're going to get more business than less.
Love it. I don't want to hurt my current manager or owner. I have such a good relationship. We've known each other for years. It's really, I don't want to hurt him.
This is one of the hardest ones. This is one of the hardest ones because it's the personal connection. So you've got to love it, frankly, as a leader. When someone says that, that means that leader that's in that office has connected with his agent, and that's a freaking beautiful thing. And that's what you want to have with your agents. You want to have that connectivity on that personal level. What I would say in this is a tough one. You got to be very careful. It really depends on your style. So I'd be very careful on this, but I would say this to them, to somebody who would bring this up. I say, you know what, I get it, and I appreciate that. And I've been at, frankly, 3 different brokerages in my career, and I still have friends at my first and friends at my second. So if they're friends, they're going to continue to be friends with you. But I have to say this to you, and this is going to come across negative, and I don't mean it to be negative anyway. Frankly, hopefully you got the sense from me, someone, I've got a big heart, I'm a good guy, but I want you to think about this. In that in that person's wallet or in that person's purse, they don't have a picture of you and your family, all right? This is a business decision. Really, it's what's in the best interest of you and your family and your future. And I would hope that you look at it through that lens. And if they're a true friend of yours, they'll continue to be a friend of yours.
Yeah, it's great. Great answer. Great answer. Okay, we're about to wrap this section up. And then we'll talk a little bit about the program. We'll bring Andy Bash on to talk a little bit about work.
Yeah, we can go through this.
Yeah, so this is just a few last little bit of coaching here on recruitment.
16 contacts on average. So experienced agents, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a period of time of building that connectivity with somebody, getting a sense that, and Jack always says it's true, be their manager before their manager, invite them to trainings, invite them to events, things like that. They got to get to a level of comfort and connection with you. You'll need to systemize and keep track. So you need to have a system that you know what you said last time you said it, who you said it to, things like that. So you remember what you're saying, and you remember about someone's dog passing away or some this or that or something happening in their life, so you can check up on them. Set aside time each day. So this is something you should have someone completely focused on recruiting. This is why some organizations are very successful at recruiting. The reason why is they focus on it. And anything you want to actually get better at, you start tracking. Focus and track your results, and that'll help you improve. And then send out testimonial notices. We all know this, social media. Just broadcast the fact you have people joining you all the time. Make sure that's a drumbeat that you never stop beating. We are a place to be. Look at everybody who's coming to us. Look at all the success going on over here.
Yeah, it's very good. Very good. All right, so let's take a few minutes and we'll tell you a little bit about the program that we run. So this, you've just sampled a little bit of it in a very short amount of time. We crammed a couple of pieces together for you to get a sense of the kind of education, the kind of training, the kind of material that we offer and work with our customers on, our clients on. So T3PL is a monthly program. We cover a topic in depth. We do an in-depth on one particular topic. We have 10 core modules we cover. We start with doing a discovery process. We look for your entire business with you. You submit a ton of information to us, and we dig through it, and we give you a lot of insight back out of it, stats, performance, all that kind of stuff. I know that Realogy offers a lot of internal comparisons and statistics. What we can do is help compare you to companies outside of the Realogy family. And we can tell you, because we've looked at brokerage companies across many different business models, many different compensation plans, many different expense profiles, and can tell you how you stack up and where you have opportunities to improve that you might not have considered. So each month that's discovery, and that's one of the 10 that we have a full, like we usually spend 4 or 5 hours with each client just on that. Yep. So each month we're going to do an in-depth topic like that. We have 2 on recruiting. We have a really, really great one on competitive analysis and understanding your competitive market. You'll do that one, and then you'll present it to the other classmates in the program, and then you guys will mastermind on it. It's really great. Builds the group and also builds your knowledge of what's happening in the competitive marketplace. So each month we give you a module. We take you through it. You do work with your group and work individually on that. And then we bring everybody back together and either debrief one-on-one or debrief as a group and talk about how we're going to incorporate that into our brokerage company. There's individual consulting in the first 3 months where we do a lot of work with you individually as a leader and with your team, looking at your financials, looking at all of the kind of the things that really need to be done in a one-on-one sort of format. And I'm delighted to say we're moving our annual retreats, which have been online through this year of pandemic. We're moving them back to in person. It's fantastic. And so we'll be planning for a dedicated retreat for Sotheby's International Realty participants. Looks like sometime in the fall. So we're looking at dates right now, but we've got a group that's already come together on this. And we'll get together. We do about half masterminding, about half material. We also have access to other T360 team members. Like we have a merger acquisition specialist. We have several experts in technology, back office finance. We've got a hiring, executive recruiting and placement person who's an expert at that. So there's other team members we can bring into. Things we're looking for. We're looking for broker owners and leadership teams that are committed to growth with stable sales and revenue. You can invest in your business because we're not coaching on sales. We're really working on management and growing a bigger company. We recommend you have staff, and most of you do, if not all of you have some staff that can be available to help you with the program. And then next steps, if you're interested, there's an application process. You can see the application, go down to t3fells.com/SIR for Sotheby's International Realty. We'll review your application. We'll make recommendations about our program, or if there's something else we think you should do. We don't need hundreds of people in this thing. We're really looking for a small group of very committed leaders who want to work with a peer group for a year and grow their business. This process accelerates what we see most companies will spend 5 years doing. Working with us, they'll be able to get it done in a year or maybe a year and a half, depending on how quickly they move through the material. But if you do this on your own, it's a 3 to 5 year process. And we've already got it prepackaged, so we can just take you through it and lead you through it and connect you with a group that's also doing it. Pricing is on the slide, so you've got that right in front of you. So Dean, any comments on this? And I know we had participants in one of our programs before to talk to us a little bit.
Yeah, we want to bring Andy Bash out of Kansas City, who's Sotheby's International, Andrew Bash, up. And the 15.6, just so you guys know, it's paid monthly as it says there. So it's $1,300 a month is what it's paid if we go through the process. Hey, Andy.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, buddy. Good to see you and good to see your name on there. Just if you can, Andy, if you can give everybody a sense of your experience working with Jack, myself, T3, through the Fellows programs, just so everybody got an understanding of somebody who was non-Sotheby's International, who moved into the Sotheby's International Realty family during this process, but any kind of insight you could provide to these guys.
Well, as Dean, as you know, you were helpful in me making the decision to become a Sotheby's International Realty franchise. So that in and of itself was invaluable. I just quickly, I was a team hybrid company. Basically everyone that I recruited to support me and my production. I left a couple other brokerages and started my own firm so that I could control the energy and the environment and not be around, for lack of a better term, riffraff that generally shows up in a real estate office as a result of just people trying to get numbers as opposed to quality agents. And then during my time with T3 with Jack and Dean, I was really, anyway, I guess my overall thought would be that these guys are so knowledgeable and have so much wisdom and insight from just an overall, the business of running a residential real estate brokerage, that it was invaluable for me. And I would, it took a very different turn from what I was trying to do to then becoming a franchise. And I still regularly talk with Dean about a number of different topics. And the other thing I really loved was getting to know the alumni that had been through the program and finding out what was working, what was not working for them. So when they talked to me about having this be a possibility for the entire, focused on the Sotheby's International Realty owners and brokers, it's such a great opportunity to be able to have a built-in mastermind with other brokerages that are trying to grow and trying to create something that fits inside the brand, which is so special and is not like any other brand out there. So I can't say enough great things about it, both how much insight and knowledge and wisdom they bring, in addition to the exercises that they put together to help you think about your business in a way. I am not a great manager. I am really one of those people who is pretty good at inspiring and pretty good at selling. I'm working on the management piece, but having people that already have a number of different perspectives to assist you is really incredible and valuable.
That's awesome.
In addition, lastly, Amanda Howard was in my group who had just joined Sotheby's International Realty. So that also had impact on being able to talk with her and Travis and learn more about their business and why they joined Sotheby's International Realty. And between Dean, Jack, and Amanda, that's part of why I ended up taking on the franchise.
Awesome. Andy, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. Greatly appreciate it.
I'm gonna just real quickly pull up, if you did want to learn more about the program, the place to go is keepyourfellows.com/SIR. And there's a whole website here that has all the different modules we cover in the program, everything we do. If you have any questions about it, both Dean and I are accessible. Dean, as there's a little chat on the side. I think it goes directly to Dean. So if you ask questions, they'll go directly to him. He's happy to talk to you. But and also, if you're not familiar with the organization, our full organization is T360. So you can go to t360.com. We do a lot of different stuff. We have consulting practices in several major areas. So we do brokerage, technology, merger acquisition. We do a lot of work in organized real estate. We recently started a diversity practice. For that, we do a lot of publishing and research. So some of you that are familiar with us may be familiar with the Trends Report that is in its 16th edition. We write about all the major trends in the industry. We also do executive hiring, recruiting, and placement for high-level managers. These typically are VP and above manager roles, but we do presidents, CEOs, regional managers, people like that. And these are the kinds of resources that we make available to our clients. So there are people you're like, hey, I need an expert who can talk to me about acquiring a company, or can talk to me about my technology or my systems or my back office. We have a whole team of people that are accessible through this program and through our one-on-one consulting that can help you with that. So I think we're at now 26 people currently, like 26 full-time people. About, I think 10 of those are in consulting in some specialized areas. So learn a little bit more about us. We'd love to help any of you, even outside of the context of this program. We've been doing some work with a number of Sotheby's International Realty brokers on their businesses as well. So so that's the end of the sales pitch. Just want you to know that we are a resource for the industry and for Sotheby's, and we felt a very strong connection with the group from all the response we've had so far. And Dean, tell us, we have a group that's been put together. How is that coming?
Awesome. So we're going to be kicking off our first Fellows Sotheby's International Realty Fellows program, and June 14th is our first. So those that are already signed up, we have five owners that have stepped forward to participate. We've got another probably 8 or 9 or 10, a long list of people who I've talked to who are debating it, who are thinking about it. So if you would like more information, as Jack said, I put my email in the chat. You can also go to that website, check it out some more, send me a message, send the application, and then I could respond back. We'll schedule time, typically 45 minutes to have a call. I can answer any questions that you might have, any concerns you might have. And then we kick off next month. So we're looking forward. We're moving down this path, very excited about it, and would love to have more on if anybody chooses to move down that road with us.
Great. Well, I think, Jeff, we got it done. So if you'd like to close us out, it's been a delight to be able to present to your group today. We covered a lot. That felt like a lot in an hour to me. So hopefully the group felt like that. And that's a lot like what we do. We cover a lot of material quickly and with purpose.
Well, Jack and Dean, thank you so much. You did cover a lot of valuable information. We sure appreciate it. Andy Bash, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of this and sharing your comments and experience. We really do appreciate it. And thanks for our audience for participating. Another valuable webinar. And we sure thank all of our speakers today. And everybody have a good and safe afternoon.
Jeffrey, thank you. See you, Andy. Thanks, Jack.